Welcome to the show. Brock Page here. Random sports picks for fun. Penn State travels to Spartan Stadium to take on Michigan State. Penn State opened the betting as the 11-point double-digit favorites in this one. Total also opened at an even 48. Since the betting opened up, though, we've seen a ton of that early money come pouring in on Sparty to get the job done. I guess that Penn State loss to the Buckeyes was far more egregious than Sparty's loss to Northwestern. But regardless, Michigan State's taking money, and they're taking a lot of it. Penn State's now laying just 8 against the spread, with the total shifting just half a point upward to 48.5. And at the moment, Penn State's laying 330 on the road to win this one outright. Now, by the looks of it, we should probably see this one close at about a touchdown by kickoff. I think that's a great line for Penn State bettors. Michigan State hasn't played these guys real tough in the past few years, and they're really not all that great this year, in my opinion. They're not all that impressive. Maybe the public knows something I don't. I think the books had this one right when it comes to that opening line of 11 points. But regardless, if you've been taking Michigan State to cover in these past few weeks, you've been thoroughly disappointed. The Spartans have failed to cover 2 of their last 3, both at the hands of Northwestern and Minnesota, respectively. They've also covered just 1 of 2 catching points, 0-1 as the official home underdog, and 2 of 5 against teams allowing less than 25 points a game. They're going up against a Nittany Lion group looking to bounce back after a 1-point outright loss to Ohio State, although they did cover the points in that matchup. And although Penn State's playoff hopes are 99% dismantled, they've still been an absolute covering machine this year. Penn State against the spread has gone 6-2 overall, 2-1 when traveling, and 5-2 laying the points. They also went 2-1 covering against teams over 700 and successfully covered the spread in their last 4 straight. All said and done, if you're leaning toward the Penn State side, you got to be loving this line movement in favor of the Spartans. Now, total-wise, a couple things that I want to take a look at here. First, Penn State games are 2-0 to the overs in their last 2. They've averaged a rotund, there it is, Brock. They've averaged a rotund 40 points of scoring per game in those overs. They've also averaged 39 points of scoring per contest in their last 4. They've got themselves a Michigan State opponent who's 2-1 to the overs in their last 3 themselves. Come on, dude. Having said that, though, last week's over went over due to 3 overtimes. If we're talking regulation, then actually Michigan State games are 3-1 to the unders in their last 4. They've also averaged just 16 points of scoring per contest in 3 of their last 4 games before that overtime loss. All said and done, it just looks like that opening line is real sharp, real tight to where it's going to open. This one's going to open up. If you like betting totals, best of luck to you. I really don't have a good beat on this one. What I will do, though, is make a pricey money line play here. Since the Nittany Lions have been excellent covering the number this year, I'd rather forego laying the points. Essentially, by doing that, I'm buying up 8 points for some extra juice. But all told, I do like the 330 lay for Penn State, winning this one straight up for some cold, hard money line cash. Wow, that was a great read, Brock. Next game, Texas, TCU, 7:15 East kickoff, Amon Carter Stadium. TCU opened -7 with the total at 41.5. Since the betting opened up, though, we've seen a ridiculous amount of cash coming in on that over. A lot of over bettors out there loving some offense in this one. I also saw a little bit of early money come in on TCU to get it done. Currently, TCU's laying 7.5, but that total has moved all the way up to 48.5 points. That's a 7-point jump on the total, and it's only Thursday. Now, in my opinion, I think we'll see the line start to slow down. That opening number on the spread was pretty sharp, and that number on the total has actually been fluctuating between 47 and 48 for the last day or so. But if you're betting sides and you're favoring the Texas Longhorns in this one, your head's in the right place. These guys have been excellent against the number this year. The Texas Longhorns against the spread are 6-2 overall, 3-0 catching points, and a perfect 4-0 on the road. The University of Texas is also 2-0 covering as the official road underdog, 2-0 covering at the current posted total, and 3-0 covering versus teams over 700. The Longhorns have covered their last 3 straight games with marquee covers over Oklahoma State and Oklahoma, respectively. Now, these Longhorns have got themselves a TCU opponent who's actually struggled against the number in certain areas, especially at home. This Horned Frogs ball club has failed to cover the spread in 2 of their 3 games at Ammon Carter Stadium this year. TCU's also covered just 1 of 3 as the official home favorite and just 1 of 3 against teams around 500. Most recently, TCU failed to cover 2 of their previous 4, both at the hands of Iowa State and West Virginia, respectively. All told, the case for TCU bettors is sparse, although the early public bettors can't get enough of them. Now, scoring-wise, like I said earlier, we've had ourselves some really wacky movement on the total. Once again, this one opened 41.5 and has since moved all the way up to 48.5. I certainly can understand the books opening up so low. TCU games went 0-4 to the overs in their last 4 straight. Now, in 3 of those unders, they held their opponents to just 6 points per game. Meanwhile, very similar story on the other side, as Texas games went 0-3 to the overs in their last 3 themselves. They held their opponents to just 10 points per game in 2 of those unders as well. I'm definitely going to go ahead and take advantage of that line movement in the opposite direction. And furthermore, I'm going to make a play on all 3. When it comes to the spread, I'll buy the hook and take Texas +8. When it comes to straight up winner, I'll lay the 275 and take TCU to win it outright. And when it comes to the total, I like the under 48.5. All told, I got Texas +8, TCU straight up, under 48.5. Next game, Iowa State, West Virginia. We got ourselves a 3:30 Eastern kickoff at Morgantown. The Mountaineers opened up the betting in this one as the 3.5-point favorites, and the total at an even 62. Since the betting opened up, we've seen a good amount of that early money come pouring in on these giant killers in Iowa State. Right now, West Virginia's laying just 2.5 against the spread, with the total moving downward to an even 60 points. Currently, the Mountaineers are a $1.40 to win this one outright for some moneyline cash. And at the moment, we have ourselves some pretty even distribution of the public money, the public funds, both sides taking action. So I don't expect the spread to move anytime soon this afternoon. But if you're betting sides and you haven't made a play yet, just keep in mind that West Virginia, they've actually struggled to cover the spread this year. They've successfully covered just 3 of 7 overall, 2 of 4 as the favorite, and 1 of 2 against teams giving up less than 25 a game. In addition to all that, the Mountaineers have failed to cover their last 2 straight, one of those coming at home to Baylor. They've got themselves an Iowa State team who I guess is the real deal. I'm really not sure if teams are taking them lightly, Iowa State's overachieving, a little bit of both, or if they're just that damn good. But, speaking of damn good, the Iowa State Cyclones have been covering machines this year. ISU against the spread is 6-1 overall, 3-0 when traveling, and 4-1 catching the points. They're also a perfect 2-0 covering as the official road underdog, as well as 3-0 covering versus teams giving up more than 32 points per contest. Most recently, the Cyclones have garnered themselves some marquee covers over TCU and Oklahoma. They've also successfully covered the spread in their last 4 straight. Who knows who'll win the outright game, but what I do know is that no matter how small the spread is, the Iowa State Cyclones have a very good chance at covering it. Now, scoring-wise, we've seen a ton of it in these West Virginia games, and I know I've been a little critical of them when it comes to covering, but their games have been fun to watch. Mountaineer games have gone 3-0 to the overs in their last 3. They're also scoring a healthy 41 points per game in those overs. They're also giving up an obese 40 points of scoring in those overs as well. Seems like a clear-cut case for the over in this one, right? Well, unfortunately, it's not that easy, and as a matter of fact, it's been a completely different story on the Iowa State side of things. Cyclone Games went 3-0 to the unders themselves. They also gave up just 6 points per contest in those 3 unders. All that in mind, I think I'm going to forego a play on the total here. I really have no idea where this one's going to end up. I do, however, really like our research when it comes to the spread. Therefore, I'm going to forego a play on the money line as well. I am, however, going to buy the hook in this spot here and take the Iowa State Cyclones +3, getting the job done on the road. Next game I have for you, it is going to be, I'll tell you, a barn burner. This is an exciting one. No, it's not really. But we got Navy Temple tonight in a Thursday night showdown. And I get it, not a real exciting matchup. But I did find some information about this game, which makes me think it could be pretty lucrative for me. Regardless, Navy's taking on Temple tonight at Lincoln Financial Field. That's the home of the Philadelphia Eagles, by the way. We got ourselves an 8 o'clock start here on the East Coast. The betting opened up with the Midshipmen as the 7-point favorites, and the total at an even 58. Since the betting opened up, no real surprises here. Navy's now laying 7.5 with the total moving downward to 54.5. Currently, Navy's $3.20 to win it, and at the moment, just 30% of the public money is on the Temple Owls. So look for that spread to continue to grow. Not real sure if the books are taking in a ton of money for this game, but if you're betting Navy in this one, I really do like where your head's at. The trends certainly support it. The Midshipmen against the spread are 4-3 overall, 3-2 laying the points, but really good when traveling. This Navy squad is a perfect 3-0 covering in their games away from home. In addition to all that, Navy's a perfect 2-0 covering as the official road favorite. 3-2 covering in their games at the current posted total. Navy covered 2 of their previous 3 before last week's action as well. Navy takes on a Temple squad who struggled against the number, going just 3 of 7 overall and 1 of 3 at home. The Owls have also lost 3 of their last 4 games straight up. All told, the case for Navy can certainly be made. But before I select an official winner, let's go ahead and break down the total real quick. And when it comes to the scoring, we haven't seen many overs between these 2 programs. Navy's 2-0 to the unders in their last 2, and 3-1 to the unders in their last 4 as well. Meanwhile, same song and dance on the other sideline as Temple Games went 0-3 to the overs in their previous 3 games before last week's action. Having said all that, though, Navy's averaged 35 points per game before last week's UCF game. They're also giving up a rotund 35 points per game in their last 3 consecutive. Meanwhile, similar story on the Temple side. This Temple Ball Club has given up 26 points per outing in 3 of their last 4. They've also scored 29 points a game on average in their last 3 straight. That's a lot of numbers. That's a lot of confusion. Confusion? It's just way too much for an amateur such as myself to take in. Therefore, with all that said, I'm foregoing a play on the total in this one, but I do think Navy can definitely win this one outright, and I really do think they should cover in this spot here as well. All told, I'm going to buy the hook and take Navy -7 and winning this one outright for some money line cash. All right, I'm going to slide in my next and final game for the show. Wow, English is very tough for me to speak, but we got Minnesota at Michigan. Michigan opened 15, now 15.5. Totals 41. The Wolverines are 650 to win this one outright. And at the moment, 59% of the action's now on Minnesota. So look for that line to move downward to an even 15 points here shortly. Now, if you're betting sides and you like the Gophers in this one, it could possibly work out for you. The Gophers have gone 2-1 covering on the road and actually 3-1 covering when catching points. They're also 2-1 covering as the official road underdog, and also covered 2 of 3 against teams giving up less than 25 a game. Most recently, Minnesota's covered 2 of their last 3 and have garnered themselves covers in those games over the likes of Iowa and Michigan State. They've got themselves a Michigan opponent who's been god-awful against the spread. All Michigan bettors should be ashamed if you've been taking action on them. If you've lost money on Michigan, you deserve it. I'm just kidding, by the way. But these Wolverines have been a poor covering team, covering just 2 of 8 overall and 2 of 7 when laying the points. Even worse, this Michigan team is a pathetic 0-4 against the spread in games at the Big House. I think that's what they call it, Michigan Stadium. Equally as bad, Big Blue is 0-4 covering as the official home favorite. Michigan in this spot here, laying double digits. Just why would you? Why would you do it to yourself? They failed to cover in their last 4 straight. What would possess you to think they could cover double digits here? Let me know in the comments below if you like them, by the way, because I need to know why. Now, scoring-wise, we've seen a good amount of overs amongst these two programs. Michigan games have gone 3-0 to the overs in their last 3. Meanwhile, Minnesota games are 2-1 to the overs in their last 3, throwing out last week's game themselves. All told, however, I'm just not sure either team has the ability to put up enough points to get this one over. Michigan's still got a pretty talented defense, but obviously can't move the ball. Minnesota's going to have a tough time scoring against these guys. I'm very reluctant on making a play on the total. I do like Minnesota to cover, though, all told. I'm going to buy the hook and take Minnesota plus 16, getting the job done against the spread. All right, folks, that is going to do it for me. Thank you for bearing with me. Wow, that was one of my worst reads I think I've ever done. Ever. I mean, not that I'm all that good normally, but that was pretty bad. But anyway, that is going to do it for me. Before I get out of here, I have to remind you that I am not a sports betting expert, nor do I implore you to take any of my picks. A wise man once said, good ain't free, and free ain't good. And if for some reason you decide to use the free information on this program, you're utilizing it at your own discretion. Most importantly, if you're betting any of these games, do it safe, do it responsibly, and most important, have fun. For Brock Page Productions, I'm Brock Page, and have yourself a positive day.